Morning, peeps. Good morning. Merry bloody Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas, peeps. Hopefully you all had a nice Christmas and celebrated it as best as we can during these circumstances. Hopefully you got some nice gifts, gave some nice gifts, had some good food, had some good drink. I actually got a couple of nice bits. I didn't expect to get much, but I got bits that I need. Like, I'm the kind of person that, give me socks. I'm always going to need socks. Give me towels, those type of things. And my family came through with a very good essentials. Like, nothing too outrageous, but the essentials. So thank you, family. But yeah, fingers crossed everyone had a decent Christmas. I don't know why I depressed myself like this. I can't remember whose Instagram page it was. It was obviously a millionaire's Instagram page, and they're fucking unwrapping like Ferraris. Like, you know what I mean? You know, one of my friends, who is, sorry, we'll talk boxing in a second, but one of my friends is like an architect slash property developer. He's bought his girlfriend a fucking Birkin bag, 20 grand. Yeah. But I like my socks. Nope, I like my socks. My socks are cool. All right, what we're going to talk about. I have no idea what we're going to talk about today. I just wanted to do a video because why not, eh? Oh, you know what? I do know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia, which is next week, Saturday. Unbelievable. This fight is next week, Saturday. I mean, what a start to the year of boxing. What a start to 2021 that 2021 gives us Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia. I'm very much stoked for this fight. I can't wait for it. It's going to be on that DAZN app, the app that I think most of us have downloaded by now because it's really worth it. It's going to go up, there's no doubt about it, but right now I think it's £1.99. Take my money. £1.99. Take my money. In fact, I think, so if I'm right, for the first month, you would have seen GGG versus Zeramata. I know it's only Zeramata, but it's still GGG. Callum Smith versus Canelo. And now Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia, all in that month for $1.99. That's toast to the zone for that. This is such a good fight, this one, just because absolutely no one knows how this fight's going to play out. Well, really and truly, look, no one knows how any fight's going to play out, but we kind of have our own thoughts and feelings. But I have no idea how this fight plays out. I have no idea if Ryan Garcia is the real deal, just because, and this is no disrespect to his opponents, they've put 20 tomato cans in front of him. Even the guys with decent records that he's fought recently. So if you look at those, go and look at the guys' records of the guys he's fought. So I think one of them was like 22-2 and 21-3. So that looks like a step up in opponent, right? But go and look in their box rec as to who they have fought to get to that. Then you realize he hasn't fought anyone. But he's done what he needed to do with those type of opponents. He's looked impressive. He's looked fast, he looked aggressive, and he's got the job done. And he's ticked those boxes, right? And such, the hype has begun, right? The hype has begun about Ryan Garcia just because of that. His opponent, though, Luke Campbell, we know where he is. Well, I do anyway. I know where Luke Campbell's ceiling is. I think Luke Campbell is a fantastic fighter. I've always said this. Remember when he was going to fight Jorge Linares? I was one of the people, I know I got it wrong in the end, but I was one of the people that said, I think he beats Linares. And in the end, he went there and got a split decision loss. So that showed me where he is in my head. Then we saw the Loma fight, and he won a couple of rounds against Loma, maybe 2 or 3 rounds. But he caused Loma some problems just because of that really long reach, just because he's a good boxer. Again, we know what he won as an amateur, pretty much won everything as an amateur. So we know what he can bring to the table. So I know exactly where Luke Campbell's ceiling is. Luke Campbell could be a world champion. He is world level, but I know he's not elite world level, and I don't think he'll become elite world level. And that's no disrespect to Luke Campbell. I just think I know where he is. I have no idea where Ryan is. I have no idea. I mean, people start showing me clips. Ade, have you seen this clip of him hitting the bag 1,000 times? Yeah. But what should we use? A Bruce Lee phrase, that bag doesn't hit back. It's true though, isn't it? It doesn't hit back. Well, you can do all those little flashy punches. Don't hit back. He does have fast hands, but he doesn't have ridiculously fast hands, you know? Like, he has fast hands when he does those clips. When you see those clips of Ryan Garcia, there's no doubt they're fast. But I've watched him, but I was watching his last 4 or 5 fights just before. Yesterday I was watching, no, day before yesterday I was watching Boxing Day. It was Boxing Day. Yeah, Boxing Day was yesterday. I was watching a few of these fights, and his hands aren't super fast. They're not super fast. I mean, they're not Amir Khan fast or Manny Pacquiao fast. They're not even Zab Judah fast. So they're fast hands, but they're not that fast. And I've always said timing beats speed. I mean, you can have those fast hands. If someone can time you, they can time you. And Luke Campbell's got that boxing ability where I think he can time those fast hands. I really do. It's a good matchup, man. It's a good matchup. I saw a picture of Ryan Garcia the other day. It looked a bit bulkier. And all I could think of, he's in that Canelo camp. It's true. That's all that came to mind. When I saw him, I thought, interesting. I'm not joking. That's just what birds of a feather flock together. That's what my mum used to tell me when I was a young kid. And she's right. She's very, very much right. But look, if Ryan Garcia can beat Luke, it's a statement. Especially if he can stop Luke, it's a statement. Again, bear in mind Linares, and that was a very good Linares, couldn't stop him. Loma couldn't stop him. So it'll be a statement if he can stop. But I would edge towards Luke in this. I would go 60-40, maybe even 65-35. I wouldn't be shocked if Luke can make a big statement and get rid of Ryan. I'm not convinced by Ryan. Even the guys that he's been fighting, I mean, the way they're walking into punches is actually embarrassing. Like, it's so embarrassing, I wouldn't be shocked if they've been paid off or something. Some of the fights are horrendously embarrassing. So he's beaten everyone he's supposed to have beaten. But in the same time, you could say the same thing about Luke. Luke's beaten everyone he was supposed to have beaten. Luke hasn't shocked the world either. And as much as I talk about Luke's amateur record, let's not forget Ryan's got an amateur record of 215-15. So 215 fights, only 15 losses. Beat the likes of, I think, Virgil Ortiz as an amateur, lost to Devin Haney, beat some good guys as an amateur. Won national gloves and national tournaments, whatever his golden gloves, national tournaments. But Luke's a different level of an amateur. Luke, you're talking Olympian. You're talking Olympic gold medal, right? So I'm going to edge to Luke here. I think Luke will get the job done. I think he's going to prove that he is, again, like what I said, world level. And for Luke, there's a massive opportunity. You win this, fingers crossed you get the Devin Haney fight. I know Devin Haney's gunning for Teofimo in those fights, but I think Devin Haney should have to fight Luke. And even that's a tough fight for Devin, just because Luke's a very, very good boxer, a very accomplished boxer. Nothing these guys are putting in front of Luke he hasn't seen before, as an amateur and a pro. So, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm going Luke to win. Do we have any news before we go? I saw something, actually. This is not even news. I saw Unrivaled Boxing, I think, was doing a poll about the top YouTube boxing channels, which I think is good. I think we should highlight, our YouTube boxing channels, because we're a big community, but we're a small community in the sense that none of the YouTube boxing channels, and I don't mean the likes of Seconds Out and IFL TV, I mean like kind of what I do. We don't have massive followings and massive numbers. I think it's good that we support each other. And I think the top 4 was Ring IQ was number 1. I'm gonna have to start watching a lot of his stuff then, obviously. Ring IQ, Boxing Beats and Rhymes, I believe, was number 2. Hatman number 3 and Sport and Icons was number 4. Yes, I was slightly disappointed not to be in the top 4. I can't lie to you, it hurt me a little bit. But those are 4 good channels. So I'm not that hurt by it. I promise I'm not. Oh, there is a bit of news. Let's talk. Luis Ortiz's manager, White is great fight to land Joshua shot. Oh, really? Really? That's interesting, Luis Ortiz's manager, because didn't you have the opportunity to fight Joshua and then Andy Ruiz took your opportunity because all of a sudden you didn't want it? Like, go. Be gone. Be gone, Luis Ortiz's manager. But I wouldn't mind Luis Ortiz versus Dillian White. I still think there's enough in there in Luis Ortiz, but this isn't the same Luis. The Luis Ortiz that fought Wilder the first time round, that was a great Luis Ortiz. This Luis Ortiz now, unfortunately, is done. Peter Fury says, Hughie Fury is a different fighter today, has come a long way. I don't know about that. I I think I got a bit too excited when I saw him or saw the way in which he performed against Maris Vac. Maris Vac literally had the slowest feet of any heavyweight boxer fighting today. So you're going to look good, and Hughie Fury's a good mover. So, I mean, you know what I mean? It's going to be like that. But I like the way in which he got the cut. This is what is impressive for me, and the way in which he got the cut, then made the adjustment. That I really, really respect, because that fight was about that close from getting called off. One more big punch or one more clash of heads, because it was a clash of heads, or anything, a glove, the fight's off. And then you know, depending on where we are in the fight, we're going to the scorecards. But he was able to make the adjustment and then kind of just coast it. And that I really give respect to. Because again, for me, top fighters are fighters that can make adjustments. I mean, everyone goes in there with their plan A, but what about plan B, C, D, E? Do you know what I mean? And I respect Hughie Fury for that. That's why I kind of give him a lot of props, I meant to say. What's this? De La Hoya on Tyson versus Jones, Jake Paul, and all that kind of stuff. It's entertainment, he says. It's creating attention for boxing. I don't know, man. Is it? I don't know. Like, do these new people that watch Jake Paul versus Floyd then stay for Canelo versus a Callum Smith? Like, I don't know. I almost feel like it's two different things now. I think you're going to have fans of, like, I will watch Jake Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Like, I'm not going to bullshit. I will watch that. But I do feel like there are two different fan bases. There are people, like, there are the ones that will watch proper boxing, I'm going to call it proper boxing, and there are ones that will watch that kind of stuff. And yeah, you're going to have a few that go in between, but the majority of them will not be the same fans, I don't think. That's just how it is. I just don't think. So yes, it creates attention for boxing, but it doesn't mean those fans that watch the YouTubers then come over and watch the real boxing. Don't think it works like that, if I'm honest with you. Usyk says, a lot of guys who I'd like to fight, like Deontay Wilder. You know what it is about boxing that really annoys me? Like, and this is nothing against Usyk, because I think Usyk would fight Wilder. I know that fight's never going to happen. I know there's absolutely no chance. I just know it's not going to happen. Like the other day I was talking about Andy Ruiz versus Dylan White. I just don't think that's going to happen. This is what annoys me about boxing more than anything in the world. Like all these fights, like, I just don't think they're going to happen. Like the fact that we've been begging for Errol and Terence for the best part of 2 years now. Deontay Wilder, AJ was 2 years. AJ Fury now it's gone over a year. We've been begging for that fight. Well, just touching a year. Like some fights that, look, boxing gives us a lot, and I'm not going to take it for granted. I understand the politics, I understand the different broadcasters and the governing bodies and all this and step aside, man, all the crap that comes with. But I still want to see some fights, and it just doesn't get, like, I don't think we'll get Charlo Canelo. I don't think this fight's going to happen. I don't even think at this stage we're going to get Charlo Andrade. Do you know what I mean? This is boxing. Like, if boxing could make these fights that I'm just, shouting out, boxing would be unbelievable. Because everyone talks about, like, for example, we talk about, Jake Paul and those Logan Paul bringing attention to boxing. Boxing doesn't need them if boxing just gives us the fights that we as fans want. If boxing was to give us the fights, it doesn't need Mike Tyson to come back and fight Roy Jones. It doesn't need Floyd Mayweather to come back and fight fucking Logan Paul to put eyes on the sport. Boxing has enough talent within it to give us what I want and for it to grow. Doesn't need that. Like, imagine if AJ fought Wilder back then. You're talking back then, it would have been one of the biggest fights in the history of the sport. Tyson versus AJ now, one of the biggest fights in the history of the sport. Terence versus Errol will be one of the biggest welterweight fights of all time. I don't mean in terms of breaking numbers, in terms of just how big a fight it is, right? 2 unbeaten guys, all the belts, etc. Like, it doesn't need it. Gervonta Davis versus Teofimo right now. Come on. Sign me up, please. That's the problem with boxing. Canelo versus Avni Yildirim to take place on the 27th of February in Canelo's birthplace of Guadalajara. Interesting. Canelo is going to run through Yildirim like a hot knife through butter. Like a hot knife through butter. Has anyone ever done that? That's what it's going to be. It's going to be over in like a couple of rounds. And we're hearing that he wants to sign a 2-fight deal with DAZN. so that he runs through Yildirim like a hot knife through butter, and then he fights Billy Joe Saunders in May. So he's that confident that he can run through him that quick that he can turn around in May. And people talk about Canelo like Canelo is just unbelievable. I don't care what he's on. He's probably on something, but I don't care. They're all on stuff. Not all of them, but majority, I guess. But like everyone wants Canelo money. No one wants to do Canelo things. You know what I mean? Everyone wants like Canelo just fought Callum Smith 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. He's now fighting in February, and there's now talk about him fighting in May. That's 3 times in 5 months. That is old school. We can fuck with that. That's old school. That's what he's doing. You know what I mean? And everyone, Canelo gets paid the big bucks here because he gives us what we want. He's fighting 3 times in 5 months. He done something similar when he fought, I'm going to get this wrong. He done something similar when he fought GGG in September. Then he fought Rocky Fielding in December. Then he fought Danny Jacobs, if I'm right, could be wrong here. Then he fought Danny Jacobs, didn't he, in May? Like, I probably have butchered that, but I think that's what he did. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you can, and what I like, you can have a gimme in there. We as boxing fans would accept the gimme. The gimme was obviously Rocky Fielding. The gimme here is Yildirim. But the back of those are tough fights. Callum Smith was supposed to be a tough fight, right? It wasn't supposed to just walk through him like he did. Then you have Yildirim, gimme, no problem. That's your mandatory, get out of the way. And then you take on a tough one, Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo, salute you, man. What's everyone else doing? What's everyone else doing? I don't know. What we got here? I think there was some boxing yesterday. James Kirkland fought yesterday. James Kirkland fought Juan Montiel and got knocked out in the first round. I'm guessing that obviously the fact that James Kirkland doesn't have enough brain cells isn't enough for the Boxing Commission to let him fight again. James Kirkland is done. And they're letting James Kirkland fight again. He's done. What are they trying to kill him? Honestly. How's James Kirkland even allowed to fight? No one should be licensing James Kirkland to fight. It's a fucking joke, that is, I'll tell you now. That's a joke. Like someone the other day, someone from the Telegraph, this might be a long video, apologies people. Someone from the Telegraph. The Telegraph, for any of you people that are international, is a newspaper, whatever, over here. And he's quite big. I think he's the editor of the Telegraph. And he was like, he's no longer watching boxing. He can't justify why he loves it anymore because the sport's just too dangerous. People die, the head trauma, etc., etc. This is kind of what he's talking about. Things like James Kirkland. James Kirkland, there is nowhere on this earth James Kirkland is passing a medical. Not having it. I've watched James Kirkland talk. Like, I used to be a big fan of James Kirkland, by the way. The Mandingo Warrior. Used to be trained by Ann Wolfe. I love that combination. I don't know if you guys know Ann Wolfe, former female boxer back in the day. I loved it. I started to see slippage. And after the Canelo fight, I saw an interview of him. Basically, he's off the rails. Like, he's mentally not okay. How is he getting licensed to fight? I have no idea. It's a disgrace. And I'm embarrassed for everyone involved. Hopefully he's okay. 2 seconds. And do we have anything else? I don't know. David Benavidez on Callum Smith. I expected a lot more from a champion. A lot of people were saying that. I'm, on the other hand, giving the credit to Canelo rather than taking it away from Callum. Again, I watched that fight a couple of times now, and Callum is trying everything. Trust me, he's trying everything. Trying everything, people. Watch it. Don't discredit him. Just go and watch the fight. He literally is throwing all the tools he can and nothing is working. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? I don't know what everyone wants him to do. It's not like he was hiding, like he was trying. He would explode now and again. He was trying. Canelo's just too good. Benavidez, you fight Canelo, see what you can do. Shakur Stevenson, I'd beat Lomachenko worse than Lopez did. I'd win every round. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. I mean, I could see in that fight that Loma, a couple of things I saw in that fight. First thing I saw was Loma was a bit afraid of Tia's power. He's not going to be afraid of your power. And if he isn't afraid of your power, then good luck. Then it just becomes a boxing match. And you're not a better boxer than him. You're not. You're not. Like, you are his size. You're 126 coming to 130. He should be fighting at 130, Loma. He could make 126. You're his size. So the size thing's done. You haven't got the power. That's done. So now it comes down to a boxing ability. I'm sorry, as good as you are good. Olympic silver medalist, we have to give you credit. You're not Loma. So let's pipe down right now. All of a sudden, like Tio beats Loma. Everyone's like, oh, I could beat him. Nah, blood, it doesn't work like that. All right, what we got before we... But it's still... Did I not do a video yesterday? All this news. What we got here? Eddie Hearn. We need full crowd capacity in the UK for Joshua Fury. It's not happening in the UK. Let's move on from that. All right, I think we're done. I think we are done. Free agent Canelo calls the shots. Start again. Free agent Canelo calls the shots. So what are his biggest fight options? That's an interesting question, that. What is the biggest financial fight for Canelo, 160 to 175? What do you think, people? I got a cold quick. The biggest money fight. Who's the next biggest boxer? I mean, it's quite weak, you know. No disrespect to anyone from 160 to 175. No disrespect. But no one in that, apart from maybe Charlo's, doing decent stuff. Like Billy Joe Saunders isn't a big draw. Good fighter, but I'm just talking about who brings more to the table with him, so it makes it a giant fight. Golovkin has slipped in many people's eyes. I don't even want to know what the kind of sign-ups were for Zaramata. No disrespect to GGG, but wouldn't have been big. Andrade, no. Eubank, no. Benavidez, don't think so. Caleb Plant, I mean, he is the A side by such a big margin, it's scary. There is no other. I would probably say Charlo. I'd say Charlo could be the biggest financial fight. And I think it would be sold well. I think Charlo would be really good in the press conference. He would hype it up. His brother would be there as well. That whole crew would, it would really sell it. They would sell it their best. So I'm going to go Charlo. And then maybe Benavidez. I don't know. If I'm honest with you, I don't know. What do you guys think? Peace.